Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. The Colt 45 that killed Rust cinematographer Halyna Hutchins was used by Rust crew members that fateful Thursday morning, October 21st, for live ammunition target practice, according to an anonymous insider. Plinking is a popular hobby with gun enthusiasts in America, where people shoot at beer cans with live ammunition to pass the time. I guess the word comes from plink, the plink sound made when bullets hit and bounce off tins. Before we get to the rest of this episode, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So when authorities arrived following the shooting, they apparently found live ammo and blank rounds in the same area where the target practice had occurred. And I found this information in articles that are actually quite old, articles from October, I'm just trying to have a look here, October 24th in TMZ, October 23rd, and the Wrap, October 25th. And I think this puts into a strange new perspective the original statement made by the producers of Rust following the incident. The producers of Rust released the following statement to the media immediately following the incident. Quote, "Though we were not made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set, we will be conducting an internal review of our procedures while production is shut down," end quote. So was the email from Lane Looper sent on October 20th, one day prior to Halyna's death, complaining about safety being fast and loose, was that not an official complaint? Were the producers then not aware of unofficial complaints or concerns, and didn't they have knowledge that might have a bearing on safety or protocols such as plinking? I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to put two and two together. How did a live round end up in Baldwin's Colt 45? Well, simple. Because someone deliberately and knowingly put it in there that morning, didn't they? Yes, consciously, knowingly. Not so? I think the real question may be, who was it? And why haven't they come forward? I think it also puts in perspective Baldwin's indignant appeal to ignorance.
It was utter disbelief over the idea. It was unacceptable, the idea that it was a live round. No one had any idea until that police officer, that sheriff's officer, said to me, "This is the slug, 45 caliber slug they took out of Joel's arm." And then the kind of insanity-inducing agony of thinking that someone put a live bullet in the gun.
So if there was a group doing target practice with live rounds that morning, had they done it any other morning or any other day? Did the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, did the assistant director, Dave Halls, did the lead actor and producer, Baldwin, have no idea this was happening throughout the production? But if they did, and if it can be proven that they knew or ought to have known, there could be trouble on the horizon. And one way of finding out, perhaps, whether this was known or not is looking at the cell phone records, looking at the correspondence. I think this simple, ordinary aspect of bored crew members on a cowboy set passing the time by having a bit of fun, which flies a little in the face of what we heard earlier about no live rounds permitted on set. You know, when you have crew members taking the prop gun and using it to fire live rounds on or off set, then you can see why it's so very important for everyone involved in shooting a scene with a weapon to check, to make sure, to double and triple check. And as Nicolas Cage said, actors need to know how to use a gun. When Baldwin said an actor shouldn't be the last line of defense, why shouldn't he be if he is the last to handle the gun before his scene is rehearsed or shot? In my opinion, it's becoming increasingly obvious that there wasn't only negligence on set, but possibly recklessness as well. In a similar vein to the recklessness of the Midnight Rider crew, we dealt with that in the intertextuality video, being put in harm's way despite having knowledge of, despite witnessing 2 trains passing on the bridge immediately before they set up their scene. In the same way, as I've said before, if there had been prior quote-unquote accidental discharges, and if the crew knew about the plinking, then these weren't accidents at all. They were absolutely logical. They were absolutely inevitable. So I'm not going to take it further than that. We have been looking very closely, I wouldn't say microscopically, but very closely at the details of this particular case. And we're now going to zoom out. We're now going to change our perspective and get a more of a global perspective of the production. And in the next episode, I'm going to take you through the plot of the movie, the actors that were acting in the movie. I was quite surprised to see who was acting in it, and it gives one kind of a sense of anticipation that you actually want to watch the movie, and it just makes it all the more tragic that this happened, that you had this wonderful production that was ruined in this tragic and unnecessary way. We are also going to go through the actual script for the scene inside the church. What was actually meant to happen? What were they trying to portray or render inside the church when disaster struck? What was actually written in the script? And obviously and pertinently, was Baldwin supposed to fire the gun? What was supposed to happen inside that church? And we're also going to be dealing with that, the script, in the next episode, which, as I say, is going to be more of a global view at the entire production. I also want to revisit the JonBenet Ramsey case. There's been a lot of talk about DNA, which I think is misplaced, and I'm going to redirect your attention to another area which I think has been forgotten about and which I think is very important. And I want to do this while we're still pretty close to the 25th anniversary, because I think it's important that the right narrative, the authentic narrative, is addressed in this regard. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.